theoretical framework, methodological framework, objectives and research questions, significance of the study, the scope, limitations and delimitations, the definition of terms. So, siguro magiging madali lang to because I know that you are very familiar with this one. Okay, so how are we going to formulate now our, wait lang po ha. Okay, so how are we going to formulate now our, excuse me, Sir John. Sir John, ay Ma'am Josephine po. Ma'am, maklaro pa ba
Yes,
akong
Ma'am
screen, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay,
Klaro kay sa kuwadri, ma'am.
wala siya kanang sa kilid. Sir John,
Wala,
naamba
ma'am.
siya.
Wala.
Okay. Ang katulad yung PowerPoint ma'am, no?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Ug ikaw imong naong.
Actually, namong ko note sa kilid gid butang pwede ko makalimot sa kuya-uya.
Dili ka mabisto, ma'am. Gigo, ma'am.
Thank you po, thank you. Okay,
Okay
so
po.
let's move on with the rationale or the rationale of the study. So, what's in the rationale and the rationale of the study? It's actually the topic, the gap, and the field. Now, when we talk about the topic, let's start first with the topic. As I've said kanina, there are a lot of topics that we can choose right now in this pandemic time. Just like, kailangan po na related po siya sa ating work at the same time under Bera teams. So we have the practices, relevance, and the Bera teams. May I ask somebody here, na dyan naman may uso ba sa webinar, mangita mo yun ikawan. Yang style sa bang teachers ani, bisa na dili manubag. Lang, ipang stop lang video. Okay, may I ask here if you have this idea about ano ba yung mga Bera themes natin? May I ask po, ma'am, sino ba dito? Ma'am Dulce! Ma'am Dulce! Ma'am Dulce Lagbero.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, ma'am!
You.
Ma'am, can you give us some of the Bera themes that you have remembered in our research po?
Some of? Ma'am, di kita marinig, ma'am. Palapit.
Some of the Bera themes, ma'am, under our research po ngayon. Ma'am, can you give us
Basta
some of
ma-remember
the
ko
Bera
lang
themes that
under
you have
the
remembered in our research po?
Yes, ma'am. Some of? Ma'am, di kita marinig, ma'am. Palapit.
Some of the Bera
The
themes
child
po.
protection po.
Can you name some? Ma'am,
Child
can
protection,
you
teaching
give
and
us
learning. Basta
some of
ma-remember
the
ko
Bera
lang.
themes?
Gender and development. Ano pa ba yun? Nakalimutan. So, yun yung na-remember ko.
Okay, so thank you so much, Ma'am Dulce. So we have there the teaching and learning, the governance,
Child protection.
human resource, the child child protection. We also have there the ano ba yun? Yung mga gender and development. We also have there a lot of things na pwede nating ma-research under Bera themes. So by that kind of by that kind of things, we could actually formulate different topics. And I know ang bentang-benta ngayon talaga is actually teaching and learning. As I scrolled out the proposals that were actually given in the research na department po ng division, nagbaha dito ang teaching and learning. Daghan kay teaching and learning. And then, mo na pag-abot anak karon sa region in which kailangan na mo abot na ang time nga kailangan ni person, magbaha gyud na si teaching and learning. And we cannot deny the fact na bakit teaching and learning yung mostly pinipili ng mga researchers. It's because it is in the reality. It is actually the things that we experience inside our classroom. And it doesn't mean na pag teaching and learning yung research natin, parang common, kay permanente na lang ginana. No, it's not. It's because teaching and learning has been a great part or has a big part actually in our educational system. And these researchers that you actually propose at the same time gi-submit are parang baka ito na yung magiging solution sa mga
Race in the
problema
collection,
ng mga
Smith
teachers na
resolutely
hindi
avoided mentioning it.
nasusolve
So the
until
rationale
now.
for listening to
Then,
a track,
how are we going
sharing
to
with
choose
the
our topics?
community,
The topics you
rationale
know,
for
the
what we were
topics
going
you
to do,
love, the
and
topics your
even
audience cares
engage the
about.
larger industry.
Bakit kailangan natin i-consider yung topics your audience cares about? I need to consider topics that your audience cares about. Okay, bakit hindi natin sariling topic yung gamitin natin? May I ask po,
In
ma'am?
American English,
Or
rationale, rationale. In British English,
do we have here, ma'am?
rationale.
Ma'am
In
Arlene?
Australian English. Rationale.
Ma'am?
Rationale.
Madunggan ko, ma'am Arlene.
Rationale. Rationale.
Ma'am?
Thank you for watching this video.
May
Please
nawala
don't
si ma'am.
forget to
Hello, ma'am?
subscribe and share the video. You can find similar
Okay, how about Ma'am Bonilyn? Ma'am Bonilyn na lang, parang stable yung signal niya. Ma'am Bonilyn, hello po. Good morning. Hello, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, ma'am. Good morning. I have a question po with regards to choosing our topics. Why do we need to consider topics that are actually our audience cares about in conducting research po?
Ma'am, pardon please, ma'am.
I asked po if why is it important for us or why do we need to consider topics or why do we need to consider in choosing our research topics the topics that are actually our audience cares about? Bakit kailangan natin i-consider yung audience natin?
First and foremost, we have to consider first the participants because we will know if it's relevant for them. And knowing that, we will gain some knowledge and information from our participants. So since that is our main goal, why do we research? So we need full information from our participants. So we should make sure that our participants are knowledgeable and they already know what our topic all about.
Okay, so thank you so much, Ma'am Bonilyn. Yes, tama. Salamat kayo, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Okay. So, Ma'am Bonilyn is right. Definitely, we need to consider our audience because of the word relevance. Bakit kailangan ba ito sa kanila? Is it, meron ba silang makukuha sa research mo? Kasi we cannot do research if there will be no significant there will be no significance on the participants that we are trying to reach out or we are trying to be to solve problems. So definitely, we need to consider the topics you know, the topics you love. Ano ba yung gusto mo? Kasi mahirap magtrabaho ng research kung hindi mo feel yung topic mo. Kung ibinigay lang sa'yo yan, pag sinabi natin binigay lang, oh ito, maganda to, nindot siya nga topic, why not try? And then wala yung heart mo doon, so it would really be hard for you. Okay, so that is about this topic. Now, let's move on with sources. Oh, wait lang. Topics. The sources. Where can we get now the topics that we can get or where can we get now topics that are actually relevant? We have here the personal experiences that we have inside the classroom. Pwede ba dyan? Bakit ba yung batang to palaging absent? Bakit palaging ganito? Bakit kailangan ganito? Maraming problema sa classroom natin, my dear teachers. Napakarami. And then, pag sinabi natin sa classroom, masasabi natin as simple, we can immediately and easily conclude na mauna, absinut yung bataan, absinut naman yun since then. And then, we failed to conduct research about it. So, maybe this time, if you want to look for a topic that is relevant in our area, in our audience, so we must first look on the practices and the experiences that we have inside the classroom. Now, in choosing our topic, we also need to consider, is there available statistical data? Mayroon ba tayong makukuha dyan ng mga statistical data? Next is the policies and directives. kung yung policy ba na na-implement sa school ninyo is effective or not, or what are the experiences of students and teachers with regards to that kinds of policies and directives, and the phenomenon. Kapag masasabi natin nga may nangyayaring kakaiba, then definitely kailangan siyang ma-research. Then that could be a good source of topic. Okay, so we have here different sites actually that we can get different sources in our topics. We have here the openstat.psa.gov.ph. We have also here the Open Data Philippines, the hpsdata.gov.ph, wherein you can get actually a lot of data out there. Actually, try na ko siya po. Andili mo na ko siya ma-open. I don't know. No. And then, we also have here the UN data. You can get a lot of topics there or informations there if you want some details nga kailangan sa imuhang study. So you can save this one, you can screenshot that one because that will be very useful in terms of gathering your topics or choosing your topics. And we also have here the LIS or the EBIS of our division or our department. So ebis.deped.gov.ph/BEIS. So this is very familiar to you, di ba, mga ma'am and sir, the BIS or the EBIS or the Enhanced Basic Education Information System. Wherein there are data there na, or there are data there na kanang makuha nato from our students, the population, the number of enrollees, and all. Kung gusto ninyong makakuha ng relevant data with regards to our population or as the status of our school. Okay, we also have here the Department of Science and Technology, dost.gov.ph. Okay, so the Department of Science and Technology. Okay, so let's move on now with the phenomenon of a study. It represents unsatisfying circumstance, a promising opportunity, a breakdown or anomaly in expected arrangements, or simply a topic of interest. So, a research phenomenon can be a problem, an issue, or a topic of investigation. So, ano ba yung very common ngayon na topic? As I've said, we could actually bank on the relevance of the modules, the effectivity of the modules, or is there any online classes conducted in, or how effective is the online class, ganyan. Issue or topic of an world of affairs, a theoretical discipline, or a personal experience or insight. Ourself or our own experience could actually be a source of, or we can say na may a great source of, we can say that there is a phenomenon, that there is a phenomenon happening. Yung experiences natin as a teacher. Okay, so now, let's have now the research gap. Most of you here, or I myself, parang mahirap talagang, mura ba ka ng lisod dun sa pangitaon kung we talk about research gap because we are, as ako personally, when I read literatures, when I read readings or different sources, I find it hard really to locate where is the research gap of that research or in that reading. So, research gap is the gap in the knowledge in the field of study. Meaning, yung kulang. Research is an investigation, a quest to find something, prove or disprove a hypothesis. What the researcher studies to establish facts in the research gap. Research question, sorry. Why do you think, or what is the importance of this research gap in our research? Bakit ba kailangan natin si research gap? Research actually, or research gap, is what makes your research publishable. Kasi pag walang research gap, hindi yan, basta sabi natin, hindi yan bentang-benta, or we cannot say there that it would be hard for us to publish our research kasi it shows, by the use of research gap, it shows that you are not just duplicating existing research. It shows you have a deep understanding of the status of the body of knowledge in your chosen field. And finally, it will show that you have conducted a research which fulfills the gap in the literature. Bakit kailangan natin si research gap? Kasi parang hindi natin masabi na nag-duplicate sa kadami-dami ba naman ng researches ngayon na nangyayari o
Hello, Tin. Naputol po.
publish. Hindi natin masasabi na wala researches right
Okay.
now. Research the modules about the new normal setup in our education.
Tin,
Yes, sir, Bob. Yes, po.
can you go back to the research cup? Kasi medyo naputol siya, naghang.
Okay, sir. Ano,
Sige.
sir?
Kana na.
Yes, po. Sir Bob, okay na, sir?
Okay, Tin, go ahead.
Ay, okay. Okay, sir. So, as I've said, what makes your research publishable is by identifying your research gap. Kasi sa kadami-dami ng mga researches ngayon, what makes your research unique is actually your research gap. But how are we going to identify now your research gap? Ma'am, masyadong mahirap. Kasi paano namin ma-identify yung research gap na pala yun? Okay, for example, this one, identifying research gap. The research gap here identified is actually a study of the changes over the last decade. So here is now the statement. There have been a number of valuable studies of self-employment using cross-section data. This is according to these authors. All of which present evidence on a number of employment and personal characteristics on the sector. However, none of these studies provides a picture of the changes over the last decade or forecast the trends in self-employment as the recession of the 1990 took hold. So the research gap there identified is actually a study of changes over the last decade. A lot of studies, the author said here that there have been a number of valuable studies of self-employment. However, what is lacking here is the study of changes over the last decade. None of these studies provides a picture of the changes over the last decade or forecast the trends in self-employment in the recession of the 1992 hold. Although there are a lot of researches that talks about employment, but what makes this study unique is it tackles about the changes of each data from the last decade. So, yun yung masasabi natin na research gap. May nabasa ako na parang, sa rationale kasi yan parang makikita natin yun, most of the research gap can be found in the rationale of our studies. Pag masasabi ko nga research gap yun, pag meron yung mga transitional signals ng mga however, unfortunately, yung mga ganun yung mga words. Kasi, meaning doon, there are those points ng kanilang study. So, that makes them to study na kahit meron nang nagsa-study ng ganun, but parang hindi nila na-tackle. Hindi nila na-tackle sa kanilang study o merong kulang. So, that will be the time that we're going to have the gap fill. Paano ba natin i-sustain o paano ba natin i-fill yung gap sa ating study? So, that will be now your purpose, or that will actually be your mission of your study. Or a research gap is the missing element in the existing research literature, and you have to fill it with your research approach to make your manuscript publishable. In other words, it indicates a finding from a research in which a key question has not been answered. So, kailangan na, okay po, Sir Bob, tama to po ang answer. Kasi natay ka ng additional po with regards to research gap, Sir Bob. Okay man siguro po kung tingong si Sir.
Yeah. It's okay.
Okay na, sir?
Yes.
Okay po. Proceed ko, Sir Bob.
Yes, go ahead. You're doing fine.
Okay. Sige, sir. Okay, so now let's move on we're done with the gap fill. So remember po, mga ma'am and sir, that in having our rationale, we have to give or we have to emphasize there the topic, kung gaano ka-relevant yung topic natin. The next one is our research gap. Kasi in evaluating our studies, hindi na yan babasahin lahat. Tell you honest, hindi na yan babasahin lahat. Titignan lang yan yung ano yung relevance ng topic mo. At the same time, yung research gap mo. Yeah, yun na. And then, how are you going to fill the gap in your study? Yun lang yan. Kasi masyadong, most of the researchers right now are having this 2 to 3 pages introduction or rationale. And then, pabalik-balik na lang yung mga statements nila. And then, they find it na at later on, it was found na walang research gap. Parang pabalik-balik lang yung study nila para lang nilang binibigyan ng more informations yung study na mga ibang researchers. So, always remember that for you to able to make your research publishable, you have to establish carefully and properly your research gap. And the topics, and of course, how are you going to fill the gap? Okay, so we have here, yes po.
Kindly go back to the last slide.
This one.
Yan. So if you could notice that the gap there is the red puzzle carried by the man. At yun ay yung gap fill. Yung bare na puzzle, that is the gap. Ang kalimitan na ginagawa ng mga researcher ay yung mga nasa gilid, left and right. Sa tingin nila yun yung gap, but eventually the gap is just a small piece in the puzzle. So needless na i-elaborate mo yung topic. Justin is true while saying na pabalik-balik lang ang explanation which expounded the research topic, but that's not the importance of rationale. Eventually, those statements that you put in the rationale can be formed part in the review of related literature instead. So mag-focus lang talaga on in introducing your research topic, and then elaborate what is the gap of your study out from the research or previous research, and then how are you going to fill in the gap, and that's actually the purpose of your study. Okay, go ahead, Tin.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Okay, so yun about research gap. Kasi kalimitan kasi yung research gap yung nawawala sa introduction. Kasi parang tinatake for granted nila nga pag meron na tayong topic, meron na tayong problem na portray na doon, and then we tend to forget na baka meron na pala nag-study nito.
Right.
Kaya nga kailangan natin ng research gap for that.
That's correct.
Okay. So let's move on with the purpose of the research purpose. So we have here the meaning of the purpose, the reason for which something is done or created, or for which something exists, and why, how, and what. So this is now the graph with the presentation of the purpose, the circle one, the what, the how, and why. And then what makes the purpose of study, what is the importance of the purpose of study is that it helps us it helps the subject actually assess the importance of the study relative to individual values. So the research purpose is a statement of why the study is being conducted. Bakit ba natin kinakonduct yung study natin? Diyan yung mostly masasabi natin na simple lang man mag-what the purpose of the study. Kay kanang gusto na ko ni siya, it's because mo ni siya ang kanang kinahanglanon sa tanan. But we tend to make our purpose of study specific, and we tend to forget na kailangan jud siya because that will actually be the basis if okay ba yung research, kung okay ba ang purpose. Kaya kung if the purpose of your study is not clear enough, then definitely it will not be publishable, in other words, or parang hindi yan bentang-benta sa merkado kung sinabi pa natin kung baligya pa na siya. So So why the study is being conducted or the goal of the study? This will be your goal. Your purpose of the study is actually your goal of the study. Para meron kang guide. Kasi kalimitan, nangyayari sa research natin, sa sobrang dami ng data, sa sobrang dami ng literatures na nababasa natin, parang na-out of direction na tayo. Parang instead na kaniyang imuhang focus, then you found out another problem. Hala, mas nice da ini, mas kuan day siya, ana. And then we tend to forget na girita. And that is the main purpose or the main reason why there is a purpose of the study, for you to be guided. For you to be guided on what to do and what is your goal in your research. The goal of a study might be to identify or describe a concept or to explain or predict a situation or solution to a situation that indicates the type of the study to be conducted. That is according to Beckingham of 1974. Okay, so I know that most of you here knows how to make purpose of the study. Okay, kabalo naman yun taan ng murag-agian naman yun natin na asam na. And now we have here the qualitative purpose statement, the quantitative purpose statement, and the mixed method study. So in qualitative purpose statement, identify a single central phenomenon and propose a tentative definition for it. Employs action words such as discover, develop, or understand. Mostly, pag sinabi natin qualitative, di ba? It's more on the narrative. It's more on descriptive. So we will be using words that are describing at the same time parang may meron yung words that are actually talking about the quality. So we will be using this. Discover, develop, understand, yun. Uses non-directional languages or language, mentions the strategy of inquiry, the participants, and the research site for the study. Unlike quantitative purpose statement, mentions the theory being tested as well as the variables, the relationship or comparison. So in our purpose of the study, dito talaga natin matitest yung theory natin pag we talk about quantitative research. Because quantitative purpose statement, if I'm not mistaken, mentions the theory. When we talk about the theory, it is more applicable or comparison. When we talk about our quantitative research rather than qualitative. Though theories are also useful in qualitative, but when we talk about more emphasis on the theory, we will be doing that one in the quantitative research or in a quantitative way of statement, because we are actually testing the theory. In qualitative, it's more on we are being guided with the theory para alam natin kung saan yung pupuntahan natin when we are in our research journey. And then, in mixed method study, the type of strategy is mentioned. Ito yung mangyayari sa purpose natin, mga ma'am and sir ha. Sa purpose of the study, pag si quali, ito yung mangyayari. Paki-ano na lang screenshot or ano ba, meron naman pong copy na ibibigay afterwards. In quantitative, ito yung laman ng purpose of the study natin. And then the mixed methods, I don't know if there are researchers doing mixed methods sa inyo po, but in this kind of purpose statement, the type of strategy is mentioned as well as the rationale for the type of strategy. Then many elements of both good qualitative and quantitative purpose statements are included in the statement. So, yan po yung mangyayari sa purpose of the study natin. Okay, so this one, about literature review and review of related literature. I know these two words are quite synonymous. However, there are actually difference between the two. Although, hindi yan masyadong malaki yung difference nila, pero how are we going to identify ba the literature review and review of related literature? Even I, parang nalilito ako pag sinabing literature review, review of related literature. I thought that these two are actually 100% synonymous. However, there is this difference pala when we talk about literature review. When we talk about literature review, any idea po from the body? Kung sinabi natin literature review at review of related literature, mangita sa pwede. Huwag any idea lang. Your own understanding when we talk about literature review. Ma'am Mary Ida, Idi Asis po. Ma'am, madunggan ko, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am. Hello, Ma'am Mary.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello, ma'am. Good morning po. Ma'am, may I know if what is your idea when we talk about literature review and review of related literature? Basit parehas dito, ma'am, na wala. Naglibog po na rin do, ha. Do you have any idea for this po?
Literate.
Dali lang, mama.
Yes,